Hello everyone, my name is Sonali Chatterjee. I welcome you once again in a new episode of Knowledge Feast. In today's episode, you are going to learn what is Material Requirement Planning, which is also termed as MRP. So let's get started. Okay, alright. Before we talk more about MRP or Material Requirement Planning, let us understand the context, the business context with a very simple example. Let us assume that there is a car manufacturing company which produces two varieties of hatchback car. So here hatchback car is the end product. Now, in order to make the end product, which is hatchback car, the company requires a number of raw materials and sub-assembly components, right? What will happen if the company will carry an inventory level which is much higher than the actual requirement for each of the component material? Certainly, it will involve certain cost, for example, inventory carrying cost, holding cost, etc. Okay, so in that way, it will increase the operational cost, and if the operational cost is increased, which means profit will be decreased. So that's a problematic situation for the company. Now, on the other hand, what will happen if the company will maintain an inventory level for each of the component material which is much lower than the actual requirement? That situation can lead to stock out, and in stock out situation the company will not be able to make the end product as per the demand, as per the schedule of the production, right? And if it fails to produce the end product timely manner as per the schedule, then customer orders will get cancelled, the company will lose goodwill from the market. So it is again a problematic situation for the company, right? So to avoid and handle stockout situation and over inventory situation, we need an integrated solution, and that integrated solution is material requirement planning software or MRP. Okay, so basically MRP is an automated system which helps to determine what are the sub-assembly and raw components which are required in order to make the final product? Second, it helps to determine what is the requirement for each of the component, what is the right quantity which would be required. Okay. And third, the timeline and the schedules by when each of the component material are required at the production plant. Okay. So all of this functionality of MRP system will eventually help a company to provide or to meet the production schedules of the end product at an optimal cost. Okay, so that it can maximize value to its customer. Fine. So with this understanding, now let us look the process flow diagram on the screen, which essentially depicts how MRP works. Okay, so as you can see in the screen, there are three inputs which go into MRP process. The first one is master production schedule, the second one is bill of material or BOM, third one is inventory file. What is master production schedule? Okay, so there are two inputs to master production schedule. One is sales order. This is the actual customer orders which have been received by the company, and this is the sales forecast. So based on these two parameters, master production schedule is prepared. Master production schedule essentially contains information about the final products. For example, I was just taking an example of a car manufacturing company, right, which produces two different categories of hatchback cars. For example, at the end of week 1, 100 unit of category 1 hatchback car will be produced. At the end of week 1, 200 units of the other category, second category hatchback car will be produced. At the end of week 2, maybe 150 unit of the category 1 will be produced, and at the same time after week 2, maybe 250 units of the second category of the hatchback will be produced, so on, right? So in this way, master production schedule will contain information what is the product code of the end products, each of the end product, and what is the quantity, production quantity which is planned for each of the end product. So all this information will be contained in the master production schedule. Now let us understand what is BOM, a bill of material. BOM or bill of material, essentially it consists the product structure, right? For example, category 1 hatchback car. This is one of the end products of the company, right? But in order to make this end product, there are multiple components which will be required. So BOM will contain information like to make 1 unit of category 1 hatchback car, what are the components that would be required and what are the quantities that are required to make 1 unit of the final product. Okay, so all this product structure related information will be contained in bill of material. Now let us understand what is inventory file. Inventory file actually contains the availability status of each of the components. Now let us consider that for both the hatchback categories, right, for both of the categories of the hatchback cars, the car requires a braking system. Now let us assume the same braking system is going to be used in both of the categories of the hatchback car, right? So in the inventory file we can see the gross quantity of the braking system which is available in the inventory. That will not categorize that braking 5 unit of braking system would be required in category 1 hatchback car and 10 unit of braking system would be required in the other units of the category 2. Okay, so at the gross level it will indicate the availability status of the each component in the inventory master file. So these three are the inputs to MRP system. Now based on these three inputs, the MRP system will determine what are the components which will be required, what are the quantities of each of the components, and what would be the time schedule by when the component materials would be required or should be available at the production plant, so that the production schedule of the final product can be met and customer orders can be fulfilled. Okay. Now what are the outcomes of MRP? There are multiple outcomes: purchase order, work order, production order. These are the primary outcomes. There are certain primary reports as well which can be generated as an outcome of MRP, and there are certain secondary reports which can be generated as an outcome of MRP. Okay, so what is purchase order? If certain components is to be procured from external supplier, in that case MRP will automatically create a purchase requisition that will eventually be converted to a purchase order, right? And if certain work is required to be done to make the end product, so those details will be covered in a work order, right? And if any component material can be manufactured in-house within the company, then production order will be created. There will be multiple reports that can be generated as an outcome of the MRP. I was just talking about that there are primary reports and secondary reports. So secondary primary reports may contain exception reports. Exception report can contain information on the overdue orders. It can contain the performance reports and etc. Okay, so this is the basic how MRP system works. It takes three input: MPS, BOM, inventory file. Okay, then it processes those input files or informations which is received in the input parameters. Okay, and based on the input it determines the component material which are required to make the final product, what are the quantities for each of the component material, and by when it is required. And as an outcome it can generate purchase order, work order, production order and various reports. Okay, so that's all for today's session. I hope you like the video. If you really like the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can also add your comments. You can like the video. See you in the next session. Thank you so much.